Right, I'm just going to try and explain the liquidity ratios to you in a bit more detail. Now, when they refer to liquidity, liquid, we're talking cash. So what we're looking at is, have we got enough cash or soon to be converted cash? Have we got enough of those to pay off our debts? So in fact, we're looking at our current assets and we're looking at our current liabilities. These are your short term. So your current liabilities will show your short term debts, and have you got enough current assets to pay off all of those? Now remember, your current assets is made up of your inventories, your trade and other receivables, and your cash and cash equivalents. So it's not just cash, because the debtors will pay you and your inventory will be sold and convert back into cash. Now, you will have to do the necessary calculations, and if we look at the exercise over here, we've got last year's figures and we've got this year's figures. So let's make this as 20.6 and this is 20.7. Now, first of all, I want to look at these two ratios. What this is telling you is that your current assets are 3 times more than your liabilities. And in this year, it's increased to 3.8 or 3 Rand 80 for every 1 Rand debt you have. So in other words, looking at that, yes, we definitely have enough current assets to pay off those debts. But if we go and look at the asset test ratio, now remember, your asset test is taking your current assets minus your inventories. Because what we're saying is, a business doesn't want to necessarily sell off all of their stock. They sell their stock, they want to replace it because they've got to carry on. So if we take away inventories, we are quite low. It's actually also decreased this year. So just a comparison of those two there will immediately tell you that you've actually got a stock problem in this business, because it was very high when the stock's included and it's very low when it's not included. Now, I know that it's very common for learners to want to compare these two norms, and you have probably been told it in the classroom. That is a simplification. It is only a guideline and it cannot be used as totally correct. So, in order to get a correct answer, we do need to work out the other liquidity ratios. The rate of stock turnover. Last year it was turning over 4 times. This year it's turning over 3. That's worse. It's got worse this year. And if you look at your stock holding period, you can see why. Last year you were taking 90 days to sell, and this year you've got 120. So immediately here, you can see with these two here, you are turning over your stock slower because it's sitting longer. And that is accounting for this problem over here. That's why it's high. You also can link up here that because you're holding so much stock, your deficit has gone up. You're losing more stock. Remember, the more stock sits around, the greater the chance of breakages or damage or even theft. Your creditors, the people you buy from, you're paying them in 60 days. So that's probably the credit terms that they allow, and you're sticking to it. Whereas your debtors, normally given 30 days, you actually are receiving the money in slightly shorter time. So that's actually better. But now, to summarize all of this, I'm going to put this onto a timeline. And I'm going to start with the date, and I'm just making up, I'm using the 1st of May. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and buy that stock. So when I buy my stock, I have got 120 days of stock. That is 4 months. So I'm going to have stock for May, June, July, August. And so it's not until the 31st of August that I would have sold all of that stock. So it's taken me that period of time to sell. As we're selling, we obviously do collect money from our debtors. And the debtors will, the goods I sell on the 1st of May, they will pay roughly 28 days later. The goods that I sell on the 15th roughly 28 days, and so on. So over this period of time, you are collecting money from your debtors. But if that's when the last lot of stock is sold, you're going to take another 28 days before that money will come in. So we're now at the 28th of September, and by then all your debtors have paid. So we are saying it's taking from the 1st of May till the 28th of September to sell all that stock and get all the money back. In the meantime, you're paying your creditors in 60 days, 2 months. And that 2 months will run from here when you bought it. So May, June. By the 30th of June, you have to pay your creditors. And if you look at this, can you see where the problem is in this business? You have to pay here. So let's say, for example, I buy 10,000 rands worth of goods. By the 30th of June, I've got to pay that 10,000. On that day, I might have collected some of the money from the debtor, and yes, I've been selling stock, but only a portion. There's still all this stock is still going to take right up to here before you will collect it. Now, obviously, you're going to sell it at a profit. So let's say you get 12,000 in here. The problem is that this period of time here, you don't have that money to pay off. So you are going to have to fund it yourself. Now, really what we should be getting is, I'm going to take the 1st of May as well. My debtors, let's say, pay in 28 days. But the stock, let's say I sell the stock in 30 days. So if I buy it the 1st of May, and I'm writing in red now for another assumption, and I'm trying to say this would be the best. So by the 31st, you would have sold all of that stock. Your debtors are taking 28 days. So yes, some of it's coming in, but from the 28th here, and it'll go to roughly the 28th of June, and by then you would have collected all the money from your debtors. Now remember, you bought for 10,000. By the 28th of June, you've got 12,000 in because you made a profit of 2,000. Can you see there that you would have sold the stock, got all the money in before you have to pay your creditors? And that's what we're looking at. That's what we need. Now, because it's not like that is why this ratio is too high. So yes, what has this business got to do? They've got to cut down the stock holding. They've got to do something about their stock. Their creditors probably, they won't be able to extend this. And the debtors are actually paying within 30 days. So the problem in this business is the stock. Now, many learners will find that they'll have this norm of 2:1 and say, well, this should be 2:1. In this business, this is definitely too high. But it is possible that this could be 1:1. Now, before you say that is bad, you're going to have to go and look and see, are you selling your stock, getting the money in from your debtors before you pay your creditors? If that is the case, then you can operate on a low ratio. And that's why I'm saying to you that 2:1 and 1:1 that is in many textbooks and is taught to you is only a guideline. It's telling you that there's a potential problem. In fact, this is actually low. But the debtors are paying quickly. So we don't have a problem there. The only problem in this business is the stock. So learners, not only are you going to have to calculate these things and get the figures, but you've got to compare. And you've got to look at this whole picture before you could come up with an opinion. And so in this case, this business has got a liquidity problem. They've got a problem because they've got too much stock. And then you can say, well, what can they do? Well, they need to order less stock at a time. They need to find out what their customers need because the stock could actually go off in the meantime. They better start advertising some specials this on a special to get rid of the stock. But they need to get this out of their business.